Okay, so welcome back to the Front End Hero channel. In the previous video, we created this top bar here consisting of some social media icons to the right, and to the left we have kind of a quick contact area with the telephone number and email address. So continuing on, we are going to create this header here, and it's going to consist of a logo, a primary navigation area, and a little search area here that we can click, and then it will expand a little search box. But in this video today, in part 1, we're just going to concentrate on the logo and primary navigation. Okay, let's open up our editor. The next thing I'm going to do is just to create a little area for the header in our little table of contents area. So I'll call this global/header. And then down below, we'll copy this. It's number 6, it's number 7. Yeah, okay. So we'll just place this new CSS kind of area down here. Replace that and call it header. And it's number 7. So going back into our index.html file, we see we just have our top bar. Okay, great. So first off, let's create our header area. And I'm going to call this header, give it an ID of header primary, just in case we have some other CSS in our site, or we're using a plugin or this and that actually just targets the header on its own, then it will target this as well. So we'll differentiate that by giving it an ID and calling it header primary. So pop in some code there and see actually, is it pulling it in? Oh, I need to go live on this. So click that, go live. Okay. Now, so I think the dots are just over there. Yes. So that's working. That's linked up fine. So now we'll pop back into our CSS and we'll create this area here called header.primary. And again, which you will see quite a lot in this series, I'll just create a little scaffold area of a one pixel solid border. We've got our header, and now we just need to kind of constrain it here with our wrapper. So I'm going to create our wrapper area here with our wrapper class. And then let me just reference the design again. So logo, navigation and search for the most part. We will have a little kind of hamburger menu here as well at some point, but we'll get to that very soon. So I'll create the logo first, and I'm going to call this well A class logo. So we've got our little Synergy logo here ready to go. And I'm just going to link that in now into an image tag. And there we go. So images, Synergy logo. Okay, cool. And we'll give it a little alt tag as well. And we'll call it Global Accounting Locally. Whatever that means. Okay, so great. Okay, cool. I actually thought that wouldn't show up there for some reason. So works out the gate straight away. So we've got our logo. Now let me see. I'm probably going to create the rough kind of outline of our nav. So I'll create a nav and give it an ID of primary nav. Cool. Then just give it a little unordered list here. And I'll just call that menu. And then just create a random kind of link home. Something like that. Okay, so now actually, let me see, would it be easier kind of put this here and this here like previous videos? Probably. Okay. So we got our navigation area here, and we've got our logo here. So I think we'll just continue on, and we're just going to kind of build up this menu here just to kind of box that off. So let's leave that there. Now let's give each kind of list item a class, as WordPress does. Call this menu item, and let's copy and paste that. Menu item. So we're going to create, as per our design, our services, pricing, and clients, and so on. So create our little our services menu there. And for this guy, I'm just going to call this our services.html. Give that little link there, which we'll create later on. So we've got menu item, our services, and this has where are you? This has a drop-down menu. So this will be kind of different than these like pricing, home, clients links. So in here, we're going to give this another class, and we're going to call this menu item has children. So we can kind of utilize this a little bit later with our JavaScript and stuff like that. Okay, now we'll create our unordered list or submenu. So we're going to call this a submenu. And again, we're just going to create another list. Menu item. And I'll copy and paste this here. And what have we got? Like accounting, audit, business planning, yada, yada. Move this over a bit here. Okay, cool. Right. So accounting is the first one. Yeah. And let's just copy and paste these guys here. So accounting, audit, business, planning, corporate finance, payroll, and VAT. Okay, cool. So we've got those guys there. Now let's carry on our main kind of menu, our top links. So that is there. So yeah, then we've got pricing, clients. Pricing doesn't have any children or any submenus, so we'll leave that there. Pricing. I'll just call this pricing.html for the moment. That should be fine for later. Then we've got clients. And clients.html. What else have we got? We've got news, which is a it does have children. So I'm going to copy and paste this, replace that, give that a title of news. Delete a few of these guys here. News, I guess I could just do something like single news post, something like that, just to kind of get another drop down in there, make the website look a bit fuller. And then we've got about us and contact. So about us is another drop down. Copy and paste this. And call this about us. And here we do have a submenu called Our Team. Oh, we need to change this link here. About us.html, which is fine. This needs to be changed too, actually. So call this news.html clients. Oh, we got 2 clients here. Oh, we got a few clients. Okay, so we've got home, services, pricing, clients, news. So we've got a few kind of redundant ones here that I've copy and pasted. Okay, get rid of those. Yeah, pricing, clients, news, single news. Yep. And actually, I'll call this news.html. Sorry, single news. .html. We can sort out the kind of specifics later, but just want to kind of get something going here, some kind of structure. Let me see. Okay, so our team.html, and then contact, which is just a normal kind of top link menu. Contact. Okay. Actually, I do need to add in a little submenu here because it's the very kind of end, I guess, link. Let me see. In our drop-down menu here, everything's kind of going from left to right here, and this is sticking out here. The little drop-down. I'm going to reverse that on the bottom, on the end link in our menu. So this area will actually be sticking out to the left, just to kind of show you the little switch here. I think that'll be quite beneficial to learn if you don't know that little technique. So instead of going, let's say here, push everything to the left, we're just going to push everything to the right. Okay, so we will add another little menu here, and we'll just call, actually I need to come up with a name for this, maybe something like find us. That could work, like a little map page or something. Okay, find us.html. Okay, so what are we left with here? Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, so we've got our logo, we've got this guy here, and now we need to add in our search trigger. So we click this, and then eventually we'll have a little area that will expand the search box and stuff like that. So let me see. Header, top bar. And in here we've got, let me just separate these guys out a bit. So we've got our logo. We've got our navigation, kind of primary navigation area. And just here, we'll add in our search trigger. So I'm just going to create a span for this guy. And I'm going to call it something like search trigger. Yep, that could work. Span ID, search trigger. Okay. So then this is just at the end here. It's not really showing anything at the moment because there's nothing there, but it is at the end. Okay. So get rid of that. So we've got a search trigger. We've got our primary navigation menu. Then we need to add in a hamburger menu. But before I get too ahead of myself, which I tend to do, I'm going to kind of stop it there. And we're going to start styling these two items here. So the logo and the menu. So let us get into that real quick. So back into our CSS, we've already got our little area here. And I'm just going to, first of all, get rid of this. No, I'll leave that there for the moment. That's fine. So we've got our wrapper here. Just inside our header. We could use the wrapper to make it kind of flex. to make these guys kind of all in a row, which I will actually do now. So header, wrapper, and display flex. Save that there. Okay, that's great. Now we just need to tweak these widths and stuff like that. So we'll leave that there for the moment. Then we're going to concentrate on our logo. So I'll create the logo class, which is here already. And I'm going to give it a width of 100% as it's nice and responsive. And then we're going to restrain it with the max width rule. And we're going to say something like 250 pixels, maybe. 200 maybe. Yeah, something like that there, I think. So 200 pixels is fine. And then we're going to say, no, we can leave that there, I think, for the moment. So we've got our logo generally correct. Now we'll start working on this big area here, which is the primary navigation menu. Okay, let's dig in. This will take a while, I'm sure. Right, so I'm going to create an ID called primary nav, and I will target this again with a little bit of a red pixel border action. Okay, cool. So that is linking up fine. Okay. So let me see. The first thing I'm probably going to do, well, I don't need to work on this for the moment, I think. So as this is a menu here, I can use flex to align them all. That's what I'll just do now. So I'll target the unordered list item, which is, move this guy down here. So we've got our menu, and then we've got our list here, and then, yeah, so we want to kind of organize all these here. So I'm just going to say again, display flex, save, and just like magic, it aligns everything. We will need to hide these submenus in a moment, but I think it's looking okay right now. Yeah, okay. So display flex, and now we're going to just concentrate on the top links, which is just these guys here, not the submenu. Okay, so create another little commented area. Just kind of keeps things fairly organized. As much as possible anyway with CSS. So I'll call this top links, and I will only target the top links, of course, and I can do that a few different ways, but I think I'm just going to use the direct child descendant. So that should be it there. 2 pixel solid red. Yeah, they're linked up fine. Okay, so this will only affect the top level navigation items, not the submenus. Right. Well, first things first, as we have submenus, I'm going to give it a position of relative, because we're going to absolutely position the submenus. So we'll have that here ready to go. Let's change the font size. Oh, let's use rem. 1.8 rem, maybe. Maybe 1.7. Okay, we'll have to kind of tweak that as we go, because I can't really see how it'll look at the moment. Okay, so let's start working on the anchor items, the links now. And I think I'm just going to globally target every anchor, every link in this menu for the moment. Actually, first off, for the moment, I'm temporarily going to hide the submenus. It's just a little bit distracting. So submenu, and just go display none for the moment. Okay, this is a lot better. Great. And actually, while we're here, I might as well give this header some padding. So I'll pop back up. Header primary. Let's give this some padding here. Maybe 3 rem. So we only want the 3 rem to kind of work on the tops and bottoms, not the sides, left and right. Save that. Okay, that's a bit better. Okay, fantastic. Okay, back down. We will, so the submenu is hidden for the moment. Hide that down there. So yeah, now we're going to style the links. And let's give each link some padding of maybe 1 rem. Okay. And let's make each link a display block, because currently they are inline by default. Okay, awesome. So this looks a lot better. And we need to take away the text decoration of the underline. So we'll say text decoration none. Save. Okay, cool. Now, so we've given it a block, we've given it some padding. For the moment, we can tweak that soon. Going to give it a color. And we're going to use what our little kind of global styles here. So we'll use our body text for these colors too, which I think will look quite nice. Oh, var body text save. Alrighty, that's looking pretty cool. Okay. I think we're good to go there for the moment. I think we kind of need to work on the submenus in a little bit, but so far so good. Actually, we probably do need to add our little background colors, like this guy here. Okay, so let's do that now. Let's create a style to target the hover pseudo element. And I'm going to do this now. But I only want to target the top menus. I don't want these guys to kind of have this effect too. So again, I'm going to use the direct descendant operator. So I'll say something like, again, excuse me, primary nav, target the unordered list, target the list item, and target the first link anchor element, I guess. So if I just give that a border 2, save that. Okay, cool. And let's just check the submenus aren't getting this style applied to, which they are not. Okay. And that's exactly what we want. So now we're going to get rid of the border and give it a background real quick. Okay. And now we just need to say hover. Okay. Cool. Okay. But we won't have red as the background color. That would look a bit naff. We are going to have, yeah, lighter gray, I think. So var, there it is there. Lighter gray, save. And that's starting to look a lot better. If I zoom in a bit here, we can probably see that a bit better. I'm going to give it a border radius again of this generic kind of class here, bor rad. So here, I'll just add it in here. border radius var border rad. So we have those kind of like nice smooth corners, those curved corners, should I say. Okay, cool. So I'll zoom out a bit. Now I do like a bit of transition, like a bit of animation. So let's add that in here. So for each, once we hover over each kind of item, I need to go to the link element and I'll say something like transition all, something like 0.2 seconds, and ease in out. And there we go. That looks pretty cool. That looks nice and clean. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we've got our menu looking a bit better. We've got a kind of background hover class here. Yeah, we will tweak this in a moment, but we need to carry on with our submenus. So let's do that right now. So let's say something like, okay. Let's say top level links has children. Okie dokie. So again, primary nav, and we'll target this class here. Menu item has children. And yep, so that's targeting that just fine. So first of all, I guess we should change the color to blue, because each top level link will have a gray hover effect, and apart from the items that have children, they'll be blue. So let's target these top level links. So if we say again, target the top level links, and yep, that's right. A hover. Okay, so what happens now if we just hover over these guys that have children? Yep. So that's targeted just fine. Now, instead of a border, we need to change the background instead. So let's say background, and I think it's a secondary color. Yeah. Okay, so let's change that to secondary color. Oh, let me see. Okay, cool. So yeah, then we just need to change the color to white for these specific items. Okay, nice. So that looks good. What we should probably do, let me see. Actually, we want to target the kind of list items instead of the anchor elements. Yeah, I generally just like this kind of style from the top level elements here. So if we target this guy instead of this guy here, then if we hover over this guy instead, then we can kind of manipulate this guy here instead. Well, we could use a sibling operator, but no, I'm going to change this just a little bit here. So I'm going to change this to the hover effect instead of the link. Okay, so slight little change there, but it works quite nicely. Okay, so we've got now obviously we have a bit of an issue here if we zoom in. So these are fine. These are fully rounded when they're kind of links on their own. But if we have children, then, you know, in the design, we're going to have no kind of curves here nor here. So we need to target this and change the border radius just for these items here. So I'm going to do that now. Actually, I'll do it at the top here. Okay, so primary nav ul li menu item has children. Get rid of the hover there. So if it has children, the border radius is going to be different. So we'll say something like border radius. That's what I need. So it starts off, I believe, from the top left. So top left is fine. Then top right. And then bottom, we don't want any border radius. So if we check that now, yeah, that looks exactly the way we want it there. So it's only the top left and the top right that have curves, which is cool. Okay. Now, let's see the design again. Ah, yes. So in the design, we have these drop-down arrows, which we need to add in as well. There's a few ways of doing this. It depends on what exactly we want to achieve. For instance, we could add some pseudo elements to each kind of link and add them here. All is good. But a pseudo element, we can't click on a pseudo element when we go to mobile because it doesn't really exist. It is a pseudo element. So what I'm going to do is actually create I think I'm going to do that instead. So what I'm going to do is go back to our design here. I'm going to actually add these icons in manually in the index.html file to each link here. Yeah, that makes sense. So it will only be targeted towards the top level links here. So I think that's a good kind of method we could use. I mean, I could use JavaScript to do this too, but I think we're fine here with this method. So let's do a little test anyway. So if I create a span class called dd-arrow, drop down arrow, okay. Yeah. Copy and paste that. Save that there. Okay, so that's currently in our services item. Yep. Actually, I might as well just add them all in because it saves a bit of time. So now that we've added in our little dd-arrows, we just need to kind of style them and make them a thing. So into our CSS again. I'm just thinking, instead of actually creating a drop down just specifically for these, we could use this for other kind of items too, this little drop down arrow thing. I mean, maybe not. But what I'd like to do is actually just separate this out on its own kind of, or in its own class. And we can add this in here to our utility classes. I think this probably makes more sense. So I'll create this area, or this class called dd-arrow. Give it a solid, again, I need to make a little macro for this because I am forever doing it. Okay. So that's there, which is great. So inside here, our span, we've got a 1 pixel solid border, which is exactly what we want. We are going to create once again, quite a few ways to do this, but I think as the Themify library has this icon already, I'm going to add it in via the pseudo element for this little span class. So I think that's fine. So we'll add this in using the after pseudo elements. And here I'll replace this, or pop it in here instead. Okay. Okay, let's start the kind of general markup for these pseudo elements that we're placing here. Position absolute, we'll give it a height. No, actually, we'll give it a top first of, let's say, 0 and left 0. We need a content. Okay, so yeah, cool. So we need to find this kind of ASCII character. So if I type in Themify icons again and search for this ASCII code, there it is there. So if I look at this in the inspector, we will see that it is, there we go there. So that's what we need. We'll copy that and we'll place that into the content area, or just like that. And then we need to give it a font family of, I think it's just Themify. Theme. So if we save that, let's see how that looks. Okay, cool. Excellent, excellent. So we've got that kind of showing up there now. Okay, so we do need to position this now. And again, I'm going to use my little trick of transforming this with the translate function and saying something like 50% from the top, 50% from the X and Y axis, I guess. So if we, oh, we'll need to change these as well, actually. So 50% for top, 50% for bottom, save that. And yes, that looks good. So now we need to, so this is more of a kind of generic class. Probably need to change the height of it actually. Or sorry, the font size of it actually. We can come back to that once we can see a little bit better. So this is, as I say, a generic kind of class. I'm not going to add in any positions here. Sorry for this guy here, because I might want to use it for other areas later. So we'll pop back down and we'll use the cascade. So top level links has children, and we'll create a little area here, copy and paste this and paste that there. So get rid of the hover. So so we don't need to use any direct descendant rules, because this icon, this dd-arrow class will only kind of be in here. I mean, this is highly targeted anyway, so it's not going to be in any submenus or anything like that. So we can just leave that there, the dd-arrow class inside of our li-menu item has children class, because our submenus won't have any those classes. So I think we're fine just to have this rule here as is. We don't need any direct descenders or descendants. That's fine, I think, because this theme only kind of works with one level submenus. So let's position this now. So first of all, we're going to say position this to the right hand side. We probably need to give it a value of position absolute. Okay, awesome. So if we look here, here's our services link. And then we've got a DD arrow area inside, which is absolutely positioned to this relative container. Oh, because it has padding, is that it? Okay, so what we're going to have to do is say, push this to the right by 1 rem. Aha, that looks good. Okay, cool. Because we've got a one rem kind of padding around this area, around this link. So right 1 rem, position it absolute, and then we're going to give it a width and a height of, let's say, 2 rem, height 2 rem. Okay. That's looking pretty good, I think. Now, we can't obviously see it. It's a bit obscured. Well, it's very obscured by the the titles. We're going to have to target them next, I think, before we can kind of tweak these further. So what I'll do is, actually, we can use this guy here. So primary nav ul li menu item has children and the list item, which is what we want to target. So I'll add in a little rule here that says only for these guys, we're going to say add padding to the right hand side of, say, something like, well, let's just say 5 rem at the moment and see what we get. Okay, cool. So 5 rem is probably a bit too much. Let's say 4, possibly. Let's say 3.4 rem. That looks okay. Why is contact not behaving? Oh, because I don't have the children menu item has children class there. Okie dokie. So let's add that in real quick. Okay, sweet. And as we see as well in the visual, this guy is rounded and the icon is a lot smaller. So let's tweak those now that we can actually see it. Okay, so here we're going to say border radius var. Oh, no, not that. Board rat. Okay, so let's see. So what else am I targeting here? So solid red. Oh, I see. So I've got, I need to get rid of that kind of scaffolding, as I always say. Save that. Okie dokie. And now, as I say, we can see it. Let's kind of change the font size globally here in our utility class. Let's give it a font size of, first of all, let's try 1 rem. I think that looks okay. Yeah, that looks good to me. Okay, I think, yeah, it's pretty good. It looks fairly clean. Actually, let me just expand this a bit so I can see it more easily. Yeah. Probably need to tweak this guy a little bit. So if I do it here real quick, say width 15. Yes, okay. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to just change the width and height of this generic kind of class here. Actually, I'll do it down here in case I want to make it bigger for another area. Width to rem. Of course, I've already got it. So I'll change to something like 1.5 and see how that looks. Slightly, maybe 1.7, slightly bigger, I think. Yep, that looks pretty good to me, I think. Okay, we're getting there, slowly but surely. Right, so instead of our red border, I'll get rid of this. Oh yeah, that looks cool. Okay, so instead of our border, we're going to give it a color when we hover over it, give it a background color. So let's do that real quick here. So instead of red, we're going to say something like lighter gray. Yeah, that's all right, I think. Okie dokie. So actually, we don't want gray, do we? It's kind of like secondary color, and then it's a lighter shade of that. Okay, well, we'll leave that there for the moment. Get rid of that, and we'll just concentrate once we hover over everything. So probably do that here. Copy and paste that. Let's say once we hover over the list item with the menu item has children class, targeting the dd-arrow area, we'll say background color red. Yes. We'll have to add a little transition into this too, because it's kind of too instant, but that's fine. So let's use Google. Target this this DD arrow And let's say where are you? Oh, hang on. So let's say we're going to hover over this. We'll simulate this guy, and then we'll select our DD arrow. So its background is red currently. We're just going to color pick this and do that. And what we can do then is probably, where are we? Oh, it's up here. So if I change this a little bit, make it lighter. And I'm just going to tweak it until it kind of looks okay. So I can see here in the visual, it's a little bit lighter. And that's fine. I can just make it lighter here. So let's say that for the moment. So replace red with this value here. Yeah, I think that looks good. But again, we just need to add a transition to this arrow. So span DD arrow, let's say something like transition all 0.2 seconds is in out. Maybe a little bit faster, say 0.1 seconds. Yeah, I think that looks okay. We can always tweak it a little bit later, but okay, leave that there for the moment. So our menu is starting to take shape. I guess at this point, it would be a good kind of place to add our submenu in, which we will do now. So first off, just to see the menu, I'm going to get rid of this display none area. Instead of using display none, let's call this actually, this area called, let's call it submenus. So primary nav ul.submenu. Okay. So yeah, instead of using display none, we're going to use the visibility style, and we're going to say visibility hidden, and the opacity is 0. Okay, that works. So let's say the menu is positioned absolutely. Save that. And if we view it here, we can actually see it is still there. Obviously, it's just being hidden by the opacity and this visibility hidden, these rules. Okay, so we'll comment those out for the moment and begin styling them. So position absolute. We're going to give it a width of something like 200 pixels. Yeah, I think that looks okay. So say 200 pixels, and then we're going to give it a background color of secondary color. Also, we need to give it a border radius apart from the top left, because that's already covered here by the top navigation item. So let's say border radius 0, top left, and whatever the border radius value is, 5 pixels, I think. So okay. Why is that not showing? What are we doing? Border radius, board var. Oh, I see. We have one too many. So get rid of that, save that. And there we go. That looks better. Okay, so let's style these now. The sub menu items. Okay, so on the visual, we can see that the submenu items are a little bit lighter than the top level link items. So we'll add this in now, and we'll say, we'll target the anchor elements for the moment. And let's say we'll just give it a color of white for the moment. Okay, that's cool. And let's make them lighter now. So again, using Google, we'll just, oh yeah, that looks okay. So we'll bring the opacity down to about this lightness here. So replace white with this. Okay, so now we just need to align these items here, each in its own kind of row. And let's see what we've got here in our inspector. Okay, it's a bit more readable. So we've got our UL. Okay. So we actually don't, do we? No, sorry. This is flex. I need to actually change this. So I just want the top menu items to be flex. So we'll give it that little direct descendant rule. And that looks good. Zoom out. Okay, so we need to make this a little bit, these text items here, a little bit smaller. And we'll do that in this area here. Okay, so we've got our color. And we'll say font size 1.5 maybe. Oh, maybe not. 1.6. Yeah, I think that looks all right. Okay, and again, we'll add the little border in here. So we'll add this into the parent list item though. So li. And let's say border bottom 1 pixel solid red. Yeah, that looks good. So let's change the color, obviously, to something. I guess we could try and change it to the same color as our text item. Get rid of those there. So let's see how this looks. Yeah, but probably still a bit too strong, but we can tweak that. So let's target that. And let's bring this down a notch. Something like that there looks good. Save that. Yep, that looks good. And I'm just going to, I'd like to a little kind of indent once I roll over these submenus. So what I'll do is, let's create that here. So submenu li, hover, and say something like margin left 5 pixels. So 0.5 rem. Yeah, just something like that, just a little bit of interaction. Now, obviously, we need to add a transition element here as well, because it looks a bit too janky. So let's get this and add that in there. Just something like that. Yeah, that looks pretty nice, I think. So yeah, we're looking good. Now we're going to hide these again. So I'll uncomment these these two rules here: visibility hidden and opacity. And now what we want to do is, once we hover over these, obviously to show them. So we'll do that now. And I'll say something like primary nav li.menu item has children, hover, and then we'll target the submenu and we'll say visibility is visible and opacity is 1 to show it. So let's see how that looks now. Okay. So we just need to add some transition again for this UL submenu area. So we'll copy and paste this guy, paste that in, and now see how that looks. Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. A bit more smooth. I do think the submenus probably need a little bit more padding instead of 1 rem. So let's say something like 1.3 rem. Okay, let's try that again. 1.3 rem. Yeah, I think that looks a lot better. So let's add that in instead. And we can probably make this global. So we were going to tweak this again anyway. So let's make this a global padding rule for all of the link items. And yeah, I mean, that looks a lot better to me already. So just for the top level links and the submenu links, yeah, that looks a lot better. I'm gonna keep that at 1.3 rem for the padding. Okay, so we said before to kind of we're gonna change the position of this last item here. So what I'm going to do is target the last item in this menu, top level links here. So I'll copy this real quick and I'll paste this in here. And I'll say something like, yep, has children. And then I'll say something here like last child. And let me see. Sorry, where am I going? The submenu, that's it. Okay, so the last menu item and then submenu. So again, let's target this. And that's targeting just fine. So we've got the red border here. So instead of it going from left to right, which is by default anyway, I could pop this in here, which is left 0. I'm going to change it to right 0, and let's see how that looks. Just like that. So that's a global kind of rule there, but we only want to target this last item. So we'll go ahead and change right to 0. Check the other guys first. They look good. And then this very last item is kind of being pushed out from the right hand side instead of the left. And we do need to tweak the border radiuses here a little bit as well. So get rid of the red pixel border. And then we just need to tweak this here. Actually, we could probably do it down here in the submenus area because we've got a little area for this already. And I'll pop this here. So last menu, submenu. That's what we're looking for there. So we're going to overwrite that global rule and say, so we actually want the first item, corner top left to be rounded, but not the second value, which is the top right, and everything else is fine. And that looks good. Let's get rid of the red pixel border real quick. Yep. That looks quite nice. Okay. Now, also what I'd like to do when we hover over this area here, I'd like to kind of change this arrow from going down to going up. So we'll do that next. So let's pop in to our area that has top level links that have children. And let's add in a new rule that says something like, yeah, once we hover over a top level item, hover, and then we'll just target the dd-arrow class. So again, just to target it, I'm going to just test it here. That's fine. So now we want to rotate this guy. So, right, that border has been removed there now. That's fine. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is say transform. We also have a transform rule here, don't we? Because yes, we do. So if we check this span arrow here, we've already, the pseudo element, we've already got this transform property here. So we need to take this into account. So copy and paste this here. So let's say dd arrow after. So once we hover over the main children menu item has children link or menu item, then we're going to target the pseudo element from the drop down span class. So we'll say transform, keep that in check. So we want it to be kind of centered vertically and horizontally. And then we'll just add in a new rule that will say rotate. And we just want it to rotate 180 degrees. And let's see how that looks now. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Usually have to tweak these things a little bit, but that's great. I'm happy with that. We do need to probably add some some margins in here between these links. They're a bit too tight, but we can do that next. So let's pop back up here and let's target here, position relative font size. So let's add in a little new rule called margin left. And we'll give it something like 2 rem just to see how that looks. Maybe something like 1 rem. Yeah, that looks better. So there's a little gap in here, so a bit more breathable. Yeah, I think that's starting to look pretty good. So let's remove the border here. Okay, so now what we want to do, where are you? Okay, so we've got this working here. We need to position this whole menu to the right hand side now in a moment. So what I can do is probably use the logo and push everything to the far right hand side. So let's try that now. So if we say logo, and we say margin right and say auto, so it'll take up the space. Oh, perfect. Excellent. Okay, that looks great. So now we are starting to cook with gas, as they say. So just going over the video here in the edit bay, and I see 2 issues that I'd like to fix before I start the next video. So up here, we see this guy has a submenu, but I forgot to insert the little drop-down DD arrow icon, which I'll fix now. So copy and paste this guy and paste in here. And that's fixed now. Great. So the last one is in the style.css, we have, where is it? I originally put this here, but as it's the sub menu, this is not a top link. So, and I did actually paste it down here, which is the exact same class or rule. So I'm just going to delete this and this here, and then just pop in the rule here. So if I refresh this, yeah, so it works fine. Those are just 2 little errors that I spotted. So I think we're good there for the moment. So yeah, this is part 1, just the header, and we're dealing with the logo and the primary navigation all in desktop mode. The next video will be the second part, and we'll deal with the search functionality and the mobile responsiveness, and then we can kind of box off that header and then begin on the footer, I think it is. So yeah, that's it for the moment. Again, thank you very much if you made it this far, and I'll see you guys in the next one.